Frontier League may be Bluegrass bound. We'll fill you in on this week's episode of the Indie Bar Report podcast. We're back. 373 is the episode number this week on the Indie Bar Report podcast, a show that never really introduces its hosts. I wasn't going to start
Nick.
now.
No, I was just going to jump in with I'm Nick.
So he's Will.
Ugh.
This week, we don't really have that much here. We were going to do a Frontier League preview, but we both suck at time management. So as a result, that's going to be its own separate thing. It's going to be fun. Just trust. So you'll have that about middle of the week. Meanwhile, though, we do have the second week of the Atlantic League, and we do have tragic news, and we do have expansion news. So we'll start with expansion, then we'll go to tragic, and then we'll talk some ball to distract ourselves in the tragic.
Indie ball in a nutshell.
Hey, it's not like it's 7 errors bad.
Oh my God. I was literally looking at that box score right now.
Oh, we'll get to that box score in a moment.
Just marveling once again at the fact they also swiped 7 bags is so funny. Just being like, I don't think that Santos can throw. Just shooting that shot.
They read the scouting report. So we're going to start first in a state that's also known for running, Kentucky. But those are horses that run in Kentucky. I don't really have much clean of a transition there. It is kind of late, but Owensboro, they may be getting a Frontier League team. At least they would like one. They are in the very, and I gotta stress this, very early process of trying to get a stadium constructed, and they are targeting a Frontier League team. I will say this movement does have a webpage, and they explicitly point out they want the Frontier League. And furthermore, it does fit right in the footprint of the league. It is essentially neighbors with Evansville, and it's not that far from Florence or Gateway, at least as far as Frontier League travel is concerned. General area is going to be sitting at around 60,000 people, give or take a few hundred in either direction. Couldn't really get a good gauge of median income in the area, but the best number I could gather was from Wikipedia, so grain of salt number there. And it seems to be around 33,000 to 34,000 a year for the median income, which feels low for disposable income events, such as baseball. But perhaps the cost of living is low enough to where that is not a major factor. But it is something to keep in mind with this. Regardless, though, expansion into Kentucky does kind of make the end goal of having 4 or 5 team divisions, or perhaps 4 or 6 team divisions, eventually a little bit clearer.
Yeah, I mean, I've always known Owensboro as being like fairly nice. Like okay. I think I wouldn't worry too much about the income situation over there. I've some familiarity with Kentucky from living there for a little bit, but I'm interested. I think it's the type of place. Like I think towns like Owensboro are the type where if you build sort of a Gastonia type ballpark there, it could do really well. And by that, I mean, it's small capacity in the way of physical seats, which can help reduce overhead cost and maintenance just with it. You can kind of pare down what's needed. It's not all about the seats. I just mean you can pare down the stadium size to what's needed while also having lots of areas that you can open just almost, areas just within themselves that are for groups and things like that, whether they're out in the concourse or the different seating areas, suites, whatever. I think there's a way to do that and limit overhead while opening up, a lot of different avenues for making money and getting groups in. And I think towns like that, where you will have some quiet nights, but you can kind of bring in a lot of groups, would be a good thing. From that though, I mean, I do think there's a fun tie-in. I don't even know where I learned this information, but there's like this Owensboro like wagon company. I think they might have ended up doing cars, but anyway, I just remember the guy, who like started it or whatever. the two towns that he was in was like Owensboro and Washington, Pennsylvania. So that's a fun connection. That's a random fun fact. I literally just found it also in the Wikipedia though. So I didn't make it up. Haha, go team. Yeah.
Random rivalry right there.
There you go, baby. The Model T rivalry or whatever the hell. I don't really, I don't know. I don't want to be a negative guy, though. I'm positive on that area. I'm positive on the potential for it. My negative is there's so much work still to do, and there's so much question mark in the near future economically that I'm like, any large scale construction project might just go. I don't know.
Yeah,
so that's where, yeah, that's where I'm kind of like, It does have, it's part of my least favorite county name though, which is, Davis County, spelled Daviess.
Are you sure it's not Davies?
I believe it's Davis.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. I do like how they basically had a mixture of construction paper and Legos to build the model of the stadium, though. I do appreciate that. This is also another bridge stadium, though, built in the shadow of a bridge, so I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, man. You'd love the Philadelphia Union. Shout Camden.
Yeah, I don't really know what more there is to add here. It is seemingly a multi-use venue with a baseball preference. So that's a nice community reasoning there. But yeah, I mean, this is so far away on anything that it hardly seems like it's worth taking seriously. And I just don't know enough about this here. Like, who's going to be the big money behind this thing, too? That's another factor.
I don't know that it's not taking seriously. I think it's just, I don't know that it's worth, thinking about the long-term impacts, which maybe is what you mean. But yeah. I mean, I don't think it's an unserious proposal. I just think there's a lot, there's so much runway left in front of this thing that, we're going to see how many engines are still attached, a little further down.
Yeah. Like to me, in my eyes, this is a situation where it's the concepts of a plan, right? Where, yeah, we'd love to do this, but we're still very much in the, we got to figure literally everything out phrase or phase that is not necessarily worth taking seriously until we get that sorted.
Yeah, it just seems very early. Because, I mean, usually when you see something like this, the article's quick to shout out like the richest guy in the room, essentially, or the most Troy McClure dude you can find. Like, you may know him from his other committees to get a baseball team from these towns. The guy that anyone names is,
I've seen Kenneth Burns a lot.
Yeah, which, I mean, he's trying not to go as Ken Burns, but
yeah.
The quick search on Ken Burns is his background seems to be former deputy sheriff, then to a help desk technician in Evansville, interesting, and then an IT technician at Holiday World and Splash and Safari in Santa Claus, Indiana. So if that's the same Ken Burns / Kenny Burns, interesting. I would have expected, they were like name dropping him in every article, and I was like, oh, like I bet, like, oh, he must be the the big financial guy.
The big guy.
Nah, never mind.
No, he's just chairing this thing.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know what to make of that.
Yeah, it's like I think we keep saying, it's just so early on the process here that it's not worth really coming back to until they have their details figured out and like a comprehensive plan to build the ballpark. That's kind of the most important element here is, having a ballpark to play in. Right.
Agreed. And the amount of things that I do know this is mentioned. Like, I know Owensboro is big for like youth baseball. As I remember that from working in Lexington, that was a thing. And so there is something to that, but, there's a hesitation I have with any new city. And it's hard to take as a valid concern, but I do think I'm just is where my hesitancy always comes from, which is why, if this town was a clear profit opportunity, the odds are somebody would have already had a team there. That's not fair, but it is like that station. That's why I always step at least from the angle of I need to be convinced that this is a good idea. I tend to lean toward, I think Owensboro is one that could make it work. I just think it's interesting. This guy's history in Evansville, by the way, kind of maybe explains the Frontier League connection. Wish we'd asked Jeff about that, honestly. But because it's interesting that there's no Frontier League quotes in this as well.
Yeah, and at least with the Missouri one, we had Frontier League quotes like that.
That's confirmed that that's happening, or that's planned to be happening at least.
Yeah. So that's at least there. And like, we know they want to be in Montreal.
Right.
That's a facility problem.
I mean, we're talking now a second expansion wave here if this is happening.
One must wonder who's the driving force behind him. Perhaps that's the bigger question here. It's why are they so eager to be growing more and more?
I think at a certain point, you just want to hit a round, easy to operate with number and to close some of the holes in the footprint.
I understand
I do
that,
think there's an effort to. I do think as you get larger owners, there is, even if it's not their primary concern, there is an effort to streamline a little bit. And I think if they hit rounder numbers and better like sub footprints, I think there is an opportunity to really tighten the schedule up, mostly play within your own division and then occasionally play within your own league and then maybe barely play outside of that and with the other side of the league, which would be far more efficient. And, from there, it's one thing. I'm really surprised that we don't hear more rumbling about more Texas expansion. I know it's tough to figure out markets, but with Rev down there, like Rev based out of Texas, I think it's just
I think it's just a weather thing. It's so deeply unappealing to be out in the Texas heat that no one's going to get a dome stadium from minor league ball.
Well, yeah.
So you're at the mercy of the weather, and that's just not where you want to be at in Texas. That's why Arizona doesn't have anything.
I mean, at the same time, there's 8 minor league teams, I think, in Texas. So, like, they're making it work.
Yeah, but how many other markets are there left where you can still make it work?
Agreed. That's a fair point.
And it's seemingly the ones that do start to work, they get snatched up fairly quickly by the general Texas teams. So
right. And I think it's also worth noting, this is all... There's 2 things that I think that like always has to be said when we're talking expansion here, right? There are 2 things floating over this, which is any team that gets a stadium built with really nice facilities, it does become immediately candidate for potentially becoming an affiliated team, which also complicates stuff, right?
Exactly. And they would have also been getting poached by one of the big conglomerates too early on.
Yeah. So there's that. And it's just something to kind of keep in mind. Now, again, while they're advertising, Major League Baseball is advertising the facilities at colleges, while they were, cutting loose minor league affiliates, and it doesn't matter. The other side is the likelihood that there will be more minor league cuts when the next CBA comes around. I think it is, again, people who were in the conversation seem to feel it's so likely that a lot of people I know are banking on it. And the question is, what does that do to the forward planning, right? Because I somewhat wonder if the Atlantic League is starting to hold cards a little bit and kind of see what shakes out with that. From the Frontier League's perspective, I mean, maybe they are just feeling like they might have 1 or 2 things open up to smack in their footprint that they might be able to work something out with. I don't know. That's something to keep in mind as well. Cause like, I feel like, I don't know, probably when they're trying to wrap up their expansion plan, it's fairly close to when some more affiliates might be getting cut loose. So something to think about. Here, my main issue is I don't think the Frontier League needs Owensboro. That's where my holdup is. Yeah.
Well, so that's the thing, though. If they don't need them, then where are they going to go?
Welcome to summer ball, son. Welcome to college summer leagues, man.
There's got to be at least one stadium there already that's suitable for that, though.
I know. That's the thing. So that's where I start to be hesitant. this plan isn't going to move forward without a confirmed league to go to. Does the Frontier League need them so badly that they would be approached by this group who doesn't seem at this point to have a massive financial backer, but we don't really know, and go, yeah, let's start working together? When, I mean, they've already got an expansion plan they're currently working on. Like, it was, I mean, I'm just saying, like, the Montreal articles, I feel like, had Frontier League quotes in it. Missouri had Frontier League feedback. Yeah, I just think I'm like, you can say anything. They literally were like, our goal is to have the Frontier League come here. My goal, I mean, Montreal's goal is to have have major leagues come there, I'm sure. Yeah, that's not to like just crap all over it. I that's just my hesitation. I don't know. I feel like that is optimistic, and that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just means we need to, have temper those expectations a little bit here. There's a lot left to find out, and I don't know. There doesn't seem to be a ton of a plan.
We're going to continue on so that we can keep this train running. Unfortunately, it does mean we continue into some less than positive news. Some would say downright awful news. As a indie ball lifer, former, I guess we'll go take a pick, really, USPBL, Pacific Association, Can-Am leaguer, as well as American Association Atlantic leaguer, Dakota Freeze, has seemingly passed away in an accident in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. He was fishing off a bridge, dropped something into the river below, went into the river to retrieve said item, and was apparently pulled under the waves and drowned subsequently from there. To make things even worse, his 34th birthday would be the day that this show comes out, today, May 9th. So, very upsetting news to get. Not really something you were expecting to see, especially when it just randomly comes across the feed. Just a very unfortunate accident, it would appear. Yeah.
I'd bet Dakota, I think, a couple times. I'm trying to think back. I know we had talked a bunch on socials before. He was in West Virginia with the Power / Dirty Birds before. I think he was briefly with Lexington, but not when I was there. But yeah, he was in Staten Island that year. I think he went. That's right. Yeah, that's right. And I remember I talked to Dakota, I think when I visited Charleston in 2021, in person, and just like outgoing dude, total baseball guy, obviously a guy who's going to run down, every league from USPBL to the Pacific to the Can-Am all the way to the Atlantic is just about that life. And yeah, man, when there's always a team to pick you up, that's also says something about, being reliable and being, a guy. It sucks, man. It always seems like a stupid thing to say, but of course, but yeah, I remember he took a comeback off the head in Charleston really hard once. And I remember, I think the facilities guy, maybe Drew, I think might have had to, I think the game was in Lexington, but he's pitching for Charleston. And I think the facilities guy Drew might have picked them up or gone with them to the hospital that night. But, I remember the number of people who hit me up, and we had this weird like entanglement of the moment I realized like I was somebody, quote unquote, in indie ball coverage was when people were texting me about Dakota. And then I had to like hit up Dakota and be like, hey, is your brain good, big dog? And he was like, yeah, man, I'm back. I'm like, all right, cool. But yeah, he was always good for just like, he was going to tell you how it was. He wasn't going to mess around. He was just going to shoot you straight on stuff. And I appreciate that. I know the managers kept being happy to have him back. Appreciate that. And, yeah, man, that's just like, when it comes to indie ball, like we talk about indie ball lifers, like you said, and like, I don't know, he was in it for like 6 years, but boy, he covered some ground and he really went for it, going from team to team. And I think guys like Dakota are what make indie ball work and what make indie ball worthwhile. In summary, it makes you appreciate the guys we got here, while we have them.
Yeah, it's just a shame when you lose people. But.
Well, also, man, how old is he?
33, going to be 30, less than a week away from being 34.
Busting around the country throwing baseballs ain't a bad way to spend it. You know what I mean?
There are
And
worse
I'm
ways.
glad he did it.
So, with that note, Atlantic League talk is up next here. So as we try not to end the show negatively, we will move to that, and then we'll get out of here, and we'll leave it to preview for the bonus episode during the week. But yes, immediate Staten Island thoughts here. Got some Charleston and York struggles.
Mm-hmm.
Staten Island is, yeah. And Hagerstown's remaining fairly impressive here. They've hit a speed bump against Long Island, but generally they've looked pretty good.
Right. When Hagerstown looks bad, they look bad. I'll say that. Yeah. But when they look good, they're like, oh, this is a playoff team. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as we stand, Lancaster's 8-7, a game behind them. York 2 games further at 6-9. Staten Island's now 3-12. 0-9 on the road, 3-3 at home. They show up on Staten Island. Let me see. Well, on is a loose term. Anyway,
that minus 66 run diff. Oof.
Yeah. That's I'm gonna get there. I know I'm going to.
Kind of impressive to me. More than like Long Island being plus 50 or plus 41, Southern Maryland being plus 43, the minus 66 here on Staten Island. What's more impressive to me is Lancaster had a 3-game set with them. There's still a minus 6. That's a bad baseball team. Not as bad as we previously thought, but bad.
I think they're still pretty close to what we previously thought. I've been watching a few of those games, and it's kind of like, all right, what are we doing here? Despite their bad projections, it could be Staten Island. Staten Island has moved the most.
I mean, they're just such a bad ball club. Like everybody else is at least in the neighborhood of 100 runs scored. They're just sitting down there at 60.
Right. So the team that has surprised me the most is Hagerstown. I guess that's unsurprising. Basically, what I projected their average like run difference per game to be, they were like a run and a half past that already, which is crazy. So every game they're doing a run and a half better than I would have thought they were doing. Long Island's actually close to that as well. And there's a pretty big gap to Southern Maryland. Then Lancaster's a little bit better than expected because we remember we really did not like the way that roster seemed to be shaping out. And then everyone else is underperforming. So yeah, it's going well. Staten Island though is really in a league of their own. I mean, we thought they were going to be bad. So obviously I projected their projections were not good. And despite that, they're still a run per game worse, more than a run per game worse than that. So, I mean, they are just putting up numbers, brother. I don't know. Again, I'm trying to like talk about the good stuff first, but it's hard to ignore it. The numbers are so gaudy.
I mean, like that's part of the problem though. Is, I mean, even one of the games they won this past week against Charleston, they had 2 runs, but on 2 hits. So it's not exactly like they're lighting the world on fire. They're just playing very ugly baseball right now. Mm-hmm. To what degree that is the fault of the roster constructed versus, factors outside their own control, I don't really know, but it's certainly not looking good right now for them.
Right. I'm even looking at their 3 wins. I'm trying to remember which game they won off of Southern Maryland.
I think game 2.
The second game they played?
I think so.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Okay. Yeah, because I'm like, even that. No, it was the last game they played.
Okay.
It was game 2 of the doubleheader. Maybe that's what you had in your head. Yeah, they won.
Sure, let's go with that.
They won 8. Shut up. They won 8-6 on that game. So it was the last game. They did outperform them in that game. We talked about this last week. I always run numbers on, what the team, they were projected, how many runs they were projected to allow, how many they were projected to score. Even the second game they just won off Charleston, their projected runs created was negative. They just happened to make it work. Like, that's wild. I mean, they had 3 hits, all of them singles. Amazing. No notes. So there's a bit of that going. It's just everything. Okay. I mean, just taking today, don't bury the lead here. They had 7 errors today. 7. So that's the second most of all time. I was kind of tracking it during the game. The record, there's like 7 games that have happened tied at 6 apiece in the Atlantic League. The record's 8 from Southern Maryland back in like, I think May 14th, 2010, I think was the date. So I got to pull that box where at some point, because that must have been a trip and a half. But, yeah, Staten Island 7, second worst of all time. So that happened today. Beyond that, though, it goes a little crazier. Now, this series is always going to be hard to watch because when you look at the stats in this league right now for walks by pitching staff, everybody is 85 is the third worst. That's Lancaster. They have walked 85 batters. Charleston and Staten Island have walked 117 and 128 respectively. So they are far and away walking people. And if you're wondering, you're like 128 walks for Staten Island. Haven't they only had like 122 in the third innings? Very specific. Yes, you're correct. They have more walks than innings currently. So it's going well. That's good for a 2.14 whip, which is hard to wrap your head around. Charleston, while they do also have 117 walks, just 11 behind them, is worth noting they also have 148 strikeouts, or they're up there. They're close to the league lead in strikeouts. Staten Island only has 95 strikeouts, so the only team that has not hit triple digits in strikeouts thrown. So the second worst.
They made a decision on how they were building a team in Charleston. They made a decision saying, "Hey, we're just going to get guys that can throw, and if they hit the zone, they hit the zone. If they don't, they don't."
The pitching version of PJ's hitting strategy. We're going to get dudes who swing it, and hopefully they don't strike out the entire time. But if they hit it, it's going to go far. And it's that on the pitching side. I mean, they are 27 strikeouts behind the next closest team. And then you're going to have to travel a bit to get to the one after that. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Okay. 8 of the 10 teams in the league have 1.5 times as many strikeouts as Staten Island. So 80% of the league, 8 of the 9 teams that aren't Staten Island have 1.5 times as many strikeouts as Staten Island does right now. That's fun. Long Island has struck out less than a third, or Long Island has walked less than a third of the guys Staten Island has.
So what you're saying is they need to acquire a certain pitcher from Long Island.
I'm saying Staten Island has only allowed 10 home runs. Leading the league.
So they're a good pitching team then.
If you squint and tilt your head, yes.
Honestly, that makes them feel worse.
13 home runs, which is a tough scene as well.
That honestly makes it worse, though. If you're not giving up home runs and you're still allowing that many runs, it means that you're putting those guys on and they're small balling you to death.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's not what you want. They're also 160 points below any other team in OPS. With their current 633, their team as a team, they're hitting 195.
It's amazing how quickly this team is rapidly turning into the we don't care about what you're doing anymore because you're just out of the race in May.
Can we discuss this being an endorsement for Mark Minikazi?
Oh, yeah. His old team's floundering under bad situation, but still he had the same deal.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, new team is competing for the division at the moment.
Yeah, he's out there getting after it, man.
Honestly, that's the perfect transition into talking about Hagerstown because this is a very impressive team so far.
Yeah, I'm excited that they brought it. Quick turnaround. I mean, let's not sleep on how bad they were last year. Yeah, this is crazy. Oh, I'm sorry. The second worst run differential in the league is -17. Staten Island is -66. Thank you. That was my last stat. Hagerstown, yeah, the only concern I have with them is the run differential but I think that speaks to what I said earlier. There's a bit of finagling Mark's had to do to build this roster. And with it, you have some guys. What that tends to look like in the Atlantic League at the level of play is it typically Staten Island is not putting subpar players in place. It is typically getting guys who will occasionally have a day where they're off. They talk you hear about how the best pitchers in Major League Baseball, even when they don't have their best stuff, manage to get through a day. Yeah, you're not going to get that if you're still sort of finding all your pieces in the Atlantic League. You're going to have some guys who, if they don't have it, it's going to be rough. And that's on both sides of the ball. And you can, as I said, Hagerstown, when they are bad, they look bad. But when they're good, they look quite good. And I think that's how you end up 9-6 with a middling, run differential at this point in time. High Point has a bit of the same thing too. They're around there, sort of fighting the same battle. Yeah, I mean, when you look at, they've had like one of the worst offensive days in the league. They had a game where they got one hit. Obviously, they didn't get no hit, but they did get one hit, and all they had was 2 walks and a single. Like no movement on the base paths, anything. Like that's an example. That line can just melt down sometimes. But at the same time, they can really bring it on other games and put on. I think either way, they tend to put on a fairly compelling product, which is also half the battle with a new team trying to work through a bounce back. Have they won every series until this one? Yeah, they have. No,
they hadn't trailed in any series until this one.
They did lose the series to Charleston. I know that. But that's a good example, right? So, they already took 2 out of 3 from Long Island, right? They looked good. They won 7-0 against Bauer in the first game. They won 3-2 in the second game, and then they lost 10-0. Great, awful. And second series versus York, not an easy task. Back-to-back champs, 8-5 win, 3-1 win, 13-5 loss. Okay, moving on. They sweep Charleston, looking great, 9-5, 9-7, and 14-2. And then they play Charleston, or they don't sweep them. They do, that's right, the first 3 of a 6-game series. So they win those 3 convincingly. And then they lose 10-2. And then they win 15-6. And then they manage to lose 7-6 in kind of like ugly fashion. They had like a couple meltdown innings and that was it. And now it's Long Island. They win 12-11 and a huge comeback, and then 11-6 loss, and then just kind of an uncompetitive loss today. Like, as I said, when they lose, it's bad. It really, it looks real bad. When it's good, and by the way, a couple of the comeback against Long Island, you kind of see it. It looked real bad, and then it looked real good. Even in the same game, they'll flip the script. So that's just going to be the story of their season. I think we have to buckle up for that. I think they will solidify a little more as things go on, but I think this is going to be an interesting run from Hagerstown. And I think they're a better team than Lancaster, and I think they're competitive with Long Island. So this could be very interesting. And I think they're right now a better team than York.
I will comment on that in 1 second because I do want to just point out one player before we go into the rankings conversation. Yeah.
I meant to name players, I didn't, so thank you for picking that up.
Alex Isalo. Really good start to the year.
Yeah.
OPS over 1,100, 6 home runs, 17 walks, 12 strikeouts. I love the ratio there. Getting on base, scoring 14 runs on 15 hits. All in total, a guy I was not expecting all that much from, really balling out this year. There's other guys too. Jared Carr's look good for them as well. Jeff Wheeler's look good. There's several others there. Vincent Town's still in the roster, so I don't really know what his usage plan is going to be going forward, but hey, good for him. There's just been a lot of contributors on this team that you don't really know what you were totally expecting from them coming into the year, but they have found a home, found a role, and really excelled in that.
I was also going to just mention, I think Robert Brooks has looked good.
He looked good for Staten Island his last time in this league, and he's definitely picked up where he left off. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a really good get by them. And, Mark managing to bring him in. Bring him, I don't even know how to phrase it. Not really bring him back, but to keep him, to keep his, number in his phone. There we go. But yeah, I mean, so far 280, 471, 520 slugging, and he has a pair of home runs. Great production for a catcher. That's what you're looking for. So yeah, this has been a solid roster. I think there are going to be some more cracks that show, but I do think they're going in the right direction. They're going to continue to, hopefully. I thought it was worth mentioning too on the, I hate that. Sorry. It's stat page is a disaster, actually. That'll be a text. Okay. Yeah. Thomas Kane was the guy I think I saw come out of the bullpen the other day. I'm trying to remember who that was. Damn it. Oh, well, he looked really good. That's the point. I think it was him, but I'll have to refresh that in my mind. But yeah, my only thing is I think there's a couple guys. I think there's some real vulnerabilities in the pitching staff, and they have been getting away with not having, overly competitive lineups super consistently against them. That's all. But I don't know. That's not necessarily super fair, but I don't know. I just think that I think they're getting away with some things on the pitching side. That is what I guess mean to say.
Well, I mean, that's fair. They're getting caught a lot. I mean, their losses are ugly, so that definitely is an indicator of getting away with pitching every so often. Other teams you mentioned in there, I do agree on the Lancaster front. I'm not big on them so far. They have not really done much of anything to impress me. Winning record be damned. That is not a good ball club right now.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say. And I think it's come down to they're just beating teams that they should be beating. I mean, if you take out that Staten Island series, they are, I mean, what? They are 2-7.
Oh, 2-7.
They went 6-0 against Staten Island.
Oh, I thought there was only 3 games that they had.
Oh, it was a 6-gamer. Yep.
I'm still getting used to that.
Yeah. You know what? Let me even do this math. I'll be rude for a second. 27, 36. Wow, they won 18-1. I forgot about that. 3. So, yeah, if you look, their run differential is -6. It would be -45 if you remove that series.
Holy hell. Staten Island really is a day spa for teams in this league.
Yeah, man. That would be a -45 after 9 games, by the way. Think about that.
So what would that be on average? They're losing
by 5 runs a game when they're not playing Staten Island.
Not even close at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you just look at the rest of if you just look at their schedule, taking out the 6-game series, 8-4 win, 22-7 loss, 15-2 loss, 7-1 loss, 13-0 loss, 6-2 loss. Then playing Lexington, a 6-5 loss, a 9-8 loss. Kept those close, but against Lexington, and then a 6-2 win. So this is something we talked about a little bit last year. The bottom feeders in the Atlantic League are rough.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a growing population, but it is kind of grown. Like, I don't think Lancaster's going to stay this bad, but like having them and Staten Island in the same
tier is and also seeing York not doing well either is another weird one.
Right. That
They're not this team, but yeah.
Overhype. I more was thinking they took 2 out of 3 from Lancaster as they should, got dropped 2 out of 3 by Hagerstown. And then, yeah, that's right. They got beat 4 out of 6 by Gastonia, and then they had to go to High Point. Yeah, I mean, they're probably playing the toughest schedule of any team so far, you'd figure. I mean, Lancaster, at least Lancaster was throwing their best pitching against them to the start of the year, but then straight into Hagerstown, Gastonia, and High Point. I think, all 3 of those teams are going to be competing for playoff spots here. So,
don't worry. They get to go to the spa next.
Yeah, that's going to be, we might, oddly enough, I think it is instructive about the quality of a team to see how they handle. Do they go to the spot next? I feel like they got Lexington and High Point and then Staten Island.
No, May 12th, they started Staten Island series at home.
Yeah, you're right. They got Staten Island on the 12th.
And then they go right to Hagerstown.
Hagerstown, which we're going to learn a bit about both these teams there.
They go for a 3-game set against Long Island midweek or start the week before coming home from more Hagerstown to wrap up the week.
To close my point on how you handle Staten Island is instructive. It is the thing of, do you get the wins you have to get? Like, I think it says something that Southern Maryland still managed to drop one at the end of that series against Staten Island. They should have won that game. They had it. They shouldn't have. They just let it go. Lancaster finished business. They're still Lancaster to an extent. I think it'll be interesting to see. We're going to learn if this is still the York team that we think it is. If they just, manage to just put the throttle down against Staten Island, get their guys right and get after it. If they drop 1 or 2, I think that's when we start going, like maybe York isn't put together the way they think they are. Maybe there's some changes here.
Mm. I mean, I need to see more than 1 or 2 drops for that, but yeah, I see where you're getting at. It
depends on how you do it. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
Back to the Lancaster series against them. I mean, that was on average. I mean, they won again, 18-1, 7-3, 9-2, 13-7, 4-3, 10-6. I mean, that's 6 wins and they wouldn't need the closer for 1.
I mean, keep in mind, they're still +10 run diff on the year. So.
Right.
which indicates something.
No, I agree. And that's why despite York having a worse record than Lancaster, we're talking about Lancaster, not York right now.
Any other teams that you really want to point out here?
Southern Maryland keeps doing the thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's interesting. I don't know what to make of it, but it's a plus 43 run differential. It's the best in the league. And now it helps they open against Staten Island. But, a lot of teams have played Staten Island.
Handling Gastonia gives them some more credibility in my eyes.
Yes, it does. That was a weird game at the end there because they were playing through rain. That one game where they scored 10 late, but they still scored 10 late. Both teams were playing it, you know what I mean?
Exactly,
Gastonia has now dropped 4 in a row, which is something to watch, but I think they'll be okay. The benefit for Gastonia is I think teams are going to have a hard time running away. And so they can spin their wheels for a second. I think that's true in both divisions right now. I think it's going to be hard to really open up a gap on anybody this year. But they're just going to have to lock down when they have opportunity to gain. Charleston, this has been a very concerning run from them. I think they're aware of their situation. They're short on pitching. And it doesn't help when I feel like they randomly had some good pitching for a game and they did the thing where they lost by a low score. And it was like, come on, guys, what are we doing out here? I would expect Charleston to definitely pick up as this year goes on. They just have to decide, is this going to be all in for the second half, or are they still going to take a run at the first half here? But, this has not been, fantastic work from the boys. They're, losing 2 in a row to Staten Island's crazy. Losing 2-0 to them is brutal. It's like, what are we doing out here? But
I think the next 10 days here are really where we're going to start to see teams make decisions as to whether the first half is in play or not. Because really, it's sneaking up the end of the first half. It comes quick when you figure it's the beginning of July. So realistically, we're 6 weeks away?
Math? Yeah, sure. 8.
It's beginning of July. I mean, I think it's really July. May. Isn't it July 3?
I don't know.
I gotta check it out. I mean, regardless, though, it comes up on you fast here. So if in 10 days' time here, we're at the middle to end of May, and all of a sudden you're staring on the barrel of 6-7 games back, it's a hard gap to make up in, a couple of 3 weeks.
No, you're not wrong. I expected a slow start from Charleston. This is worse than I expected. I think they are lucky to be at the record there at 6-10. If I were them, I would be pretty, I don't know if urgent's the word. You're right. July 3rd. I just double checked it. I would just be hyper vigilant of letting games get away at this point. I think that's a fair way to say it. There's going to be, they are another one of those teams where they are having blowout wins and blowout losses. They've already had a 9-0 win, a 10-2 win, a 17-3 loss, a 14-2 loss, a 10-2 win, a 15-6 loss, a 10-4 win. So there's a lot going on. But I think it's the other games. They've lost a 10-9 game. They've lost a 9-7 game to Hagerstown. They lost a 2-0 game to Staten Island. Those are ones they can't be dropping those. Like, if you're close, you got to probably take 2 out of 3 of them. And then we're looking at their record and they're, 8-6, 8-7, I think. That's going to be the difference for them until this team is fully sorted out. The games where you have a team and you just don't let this game completely run away because you're just, it's just not going to be your night. You got to get that. And I think they're aware too. There's certain ones that are going to hurt way more than others and they have to limit the damage there.
Absolutely. So, I think that's about it. At least for teams I want to talk about and everything like that.
Yeah. Any thoughts on night 1 of Frontier League?
Honestly, I was not able to really keep much of an eye on it. I was busy getting things in order for the preview, so I didn't really get to look too much. But the no-hitter is interesting. First real no-hitter of the year.
Yeah, it's nice. I was definitely watching. It's a bad sign for the boys in Florence, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, because I'm not too high on Evansville to begin with. Mm-hmm. And they're doing that to you. Oh, that's a bad scene to get
I would
Again,
say you are
unfair.
most likely to get no hit on night one, by the way. I mean, it makes the most sense. Every pitcher's available. You got your ace on the mound and your guys haven't seen a live game in a minute, like under the lights, full speed. It can happen. I understand that. I mean, I was there when Hagerstown did it to York a couple years ago. York won the championship. So whatever. But, 2026 Florence championship confirmed. I won't be shy about it. I spent a lot of time talking to Toby Hall while I was at the Frontier League tryout. I was impressed by the guy. I was impressed by how much people seem to like him and want to play for him. I'm a believer, and I think both them and Florence are taking a long view of this. The ownership there really likes him. I mean, they own Windy City too, so they thought highly enough to be like, we want you in Florence, where we're working on this here. They have some new building there. They have a lot of things going their way. I think the longer Toby Hall is there and can get guys that, his type of guys and guys who want to be there and go to war for him, because people seem to like him a lot, I think this team's going to come around. I do think it's a multi-year project. I think everybody involved is aware of that. There's going to be some bad days, I think, but I think this team is not, I don't think this is going to be, I don't think they're going to have the sort of Staten Island does necessarily. You know what I mean? I think we're not going to be looking at that, like a massive
This is a team that's going to
disparity.
stay competitive, but there's not a lot of guys on here that are going to be part of the end goal.
They might be in last place, but they're not going to be out of reach from the next spot. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of where they land. So not overly surprised. For the record, it was Griff Hughes, Nolan Thibier. I still am getting used to that name, and Junior Serta, who went and threw that no hitter, by the way. There was a good game all around, by the way. 2 walks, 13 strikeouts for them. By the way, not to be outdone, Florence's pitching did pretty well. I mean, Evan Webster, you want to go deeper, but Bradley Wilson, 3 innings of relief work, scoreless, 4 strikeouts. Pretty good. So yeah, that's something to watch. Other than that, night one, I was my attention was grabbed by Windy City getting Washington and a big comeback. They basically just had to get, what's his face? Had to get Zach Kirby off the mound, and then immediately started doing work on that Washington bullpen. So that's something to watch if you're the Wild Things. You figure they got their best relief options raring to go out there, and that happened. Tough scene from a fairly weak historically offense. Then Mississippi beating Gateway. Look, we're not going to make anything in one game, but it was interesting. I thought Gateway might have taken a slight step back, and I think Mississippi might take a step forward. So, all projections confirmed. And Brockton being the Boulders, very interesting. I think Brockton's going to take a step forward too. And also, we think Washington might be taking a step back. There's a little preview of the preview, and so all things so far have been confirmed, I think, for both of us so far after one night of Frontier League ball. Stop the count.
A lot of priors going on here, but
Yes.
Anyway, I think we'll land this plane now and just throw some plugs out there and get out of here, because I have been low energy for the last couple minutes. That is not great.
Indie Ball Nation, still figuring out what exactly I'm doing content wise. There will be the trap video coming out next week. That's fun. What else was I thinking? I had another content piece coming. I forget what it is. That's a good sign. Anyway, we'll keep an eye out for it. I'm sure it's gonna be great. It's so late. But in Indie Ball Nation on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, podcast platforms, changing some stuff up, how I want to do things this year, but we'll keep an eye out. It'll be fun.
Yep. Indie Ball Pod, Twitter, Indie Ball Report, everywhere else. Yeah, follow for content. That's simple. Keep it nice and simple, because this plane is about to hit the water like a Malaysian airliner. So, in any case, we will have a preview for you sometime in the beginning to middle of next week. And we will have another episode for you after that. We are in the middle of the beginning, so you'll want to stay tuned till the end. But until then, don't forget to play ball.